Oh, there we go. There's another leopard. There are 2 leopards, everyone. I think this must be Thandi and Thamba, and I think that's Thamba that's just moved through there. Let me try reposition. We've just found them. Been driving through this thicket, searching high and low. I don't know if these are the leopards that they saw the other day, or yesterday. Hold on. Where did she go? Where did she go? Oh, no. No, they've gone down this. Can you see? Alright, Seb, shall I go back? Oh, there they're moving. Okay, hold on, stick with us. Oh, this is going to be difficult maneuvering, but we found our leopards. Our persistence has paid off. Actually heard an owl, a little white-faced Scops owl, and we were... There they are, there they go, there we go. There we go, there we go, both of them. That is wonderful. Now, just have a look. I mean, I'm not sure, but a female leopard with a young, looks like a young male. I think this is very possibly the Thandi and Thamba, those 2 leopards. Now, I wonder where they're going. I hope they're not going back from where we just came, because it's very, very thick and it was difficult to get through there. Well, I am very, very happy and excited. I thought we were heading on a wild goose chase. I'm not sure if she has got a kill. Let's see if I can just reposition slightly for you. Oh, there we go. Oh, look at that. Beautiful, beautiful leopard. And 2 of them nonetheless. And Dressia, you say how fantastic. It really is fantastic. I'm so happy. This is wonderful. I've been searching very hard for leopards the last few days and haven't had any luck, and took a chance this morning. We didn't find any carcass, so like I say, I'm not sure if she has got a carcass or not, but I'm hoping. It doesn't look like it the way they're moving. They just look like they're moving through the thicket. Both of them. Oh no. Okay, now this is where it gets tricky, everyone. Now, to try and stay with them and follow them is very, very difficult. Asif, no, they are not mates. This is a female and an offspring. Okay, you know what? I just drove around. I'm going to have to go back this way quickly, because there's no way through there. So Asif, no, this is a female and an offspring. That's what it looks like. Like I said, I haven't had a great view of them just yet. They've just been moving through the thicket. But it does look like a female leopard with a young male cub. Hold on. No, you see, even the gloves are off, so I can make sure. Sorry, Seb, watch out. This is very exciting. And I'm so glad we got to find them. I'm not even going to bother trying to radio anyone just yet, because I don't really know how they would get in here. We really just took a chance. Hold on. Let's see where they've gone. Where have they gone? Saw them come through this way. There they are. Chatty Meg, you asked why they're together. You thought they're solitary. Leopards are solitary, Chatty Meg. However, I was wondering what that noise was. So Chatty Meg, when it's offspring, a female with the youngsters, you'll see them in this. You'll see them moving around together. And the only other time you'll have leopards moving together is when they are looking to mate. So a male finding a female and looking to mate. This is not a big dominant male and female at all. This is a female with the offspring. And like I said, I think this is the leopard that is known as Thandi, and her offspring Thamba, the young male. I think that's them that we've managed to find here. A lot of vlogs bogs around here. It's making it difficult to maneuver through, and they've moved down to the drainage line. I'm going to see if I can't just find a little spot to go down into this. I think it's the Mawati. It is indeed. It's not too far, but hold on a second. See if we can't get a view from this side. Just keep checking down there, Seb, because I think they moved through. I'm trying to have a look. This is very, very difficult, everyone. Just trying to, maybe we hear them or just see a glimpse of movement. Okay, now let me see if I can find these leopards again. They've moved through quite quickly. Let's head over to Jamie in the Mara with Giraffe.
Well, we have indeed. We've managed to find our leopard, little Thandi. So she's got a big yawn, and I don't know where little Thamba is, but she was calling, and he was somewhere around here. There's a bushbuck that's alarm calling, and hopefully she's not going to drag us through this, because it's going to be really tough to find her. But luckily we found the tracks, and it was quite quick and easy to actually find Thandi. Now hopefully, like I say, Thamba is going to be around here too, but this is going to be a tough off-roading section, because this is not very pleasant in here, and this is going to be not easy, and hopefully we won't have another vehicle with a damaged steering rod. Although Byron's vehicle will be fine. It's exactly what happened to us the other day when we were following. There's little Thamba. Hello, big boy. Look at you. So you're hiding on top of the termite mound.
Good termite mound,
yeah, he loves a termite mound, doesn't he, Ferg? Now you can see just how difficult it is to actually see a leopard, but there he is. You can just see him through the thickets. Hello, big boy. Now, Thandi's walked off a little bit, so hopefully Thamba will be a lot more visible. Ferg, I think let's try go around, because on the other side of that mound looks nice and open, and I think it's going to be much easier for us to see him. Where he is now at the moment is so dense, as you can see. It's just a clump of bushes. So let's try the other side, Ferg. It looks like it's going to be nice and open there. I just need to also update Tax, because Tax was in this area with me. Yeah, Tax, I've got them both here. My daughter is just on top of a termite mound. So she's mobile now northwards. It's Makulu Latino. We're on the western side of Mulawati. So I'm just trying to see if I can't get round and find exactly a way back towards that termite mound. I don't know where Thandi went from here. It's nice and open here, so it would have been nice if she had decided to go onto this termite mound, or if he had decided to go onto this termite mound. But I would imagine she's not too far, and if we stick with little Thamba, we should be able to find Thandi again, because Thamba is going to try and follow his mom, that's for sure. Just trying to get round through here. Careful there, Ferg. There's a few low-lying hazardous objects that might come your way. Tux, I think your best bet is to actually come towards those pans south of Chelapan. You're going to be able to access much better from there than from the Mulawati. So there's Thandi. So she's just walking past the back of the car, and this is so interesting to see how far she's actually going into Djuma these days. I mean, she's come right up. We're near Chelapan now, which is a lot further north than I've ever known Thandi to go, and so it almost looks like she's starting to take over where Kruger was and start to move in. And there comes little Thamba trotting away, as he always does. And it's interesting just to see the size of this guy's paws, because his tracks look like a big male these days. It's quite interesting, because Taxon was saying to me, am I sure this is Thandi and Thamba, because the track that they saw was for a rather large male, and well, little Thamba's feet are getting so big these days that he is looking like a large male. So it's really interesting to see how big his feet are. Now hopefully they're going to come out into the open. We've got a beautiful open section here that they're going to be hopefully moving towards. I can see her right there. Hello, Thandi. But this is very interesting, and I'm keen to see just how far she goes during the course of today, because it looks like she's pressing further and further north, which means that we could potentially actually see her even arriving on the dam cam. The next sort of road up from where we are is Vuatela Dam, and so that is very far north for Thandi. It's much further than I would ever thought she would have gone as quickly as this. So Amy, you're wondering how long is Thamba going to stay with Thandi? Well, that's a variable that we don't know. It depends on the individual female. Some females are a little bit more sort of tolerant than others. Now she is going to come. I know, thank you. So it's just somebody just telling us that there's a female and a male, which evidently we know already. But it depends on the mother. Some mothers will be able to, will tolerate their young ones a lot more than others, and some will be a lot less tolerant and will chase them away. But generally the average period is between 14 months and 2 years is the normal sort of time frame in terms of leaving their cubs and letting them go off their own. Hello, my girl. She is the coolest leopard. I'm so happy to see her again. If you stick around, Thandi, I'm going to be a very happy man, because you really are a beautiful cat. And look at that. Now, little Thamba is somewhere on my right-hand side. In fact, he's going to pop out on the road shortly. He's just sitting on the edge watching Mom walk along. But this is so cool. There he comes. Hello, beautiful boy. Yes, you are getting big. He's got such a stocky sort of look about him. He's quite short, but everything about him is muscular. And you can see the attention span of a squirrel as well. Everywhere he goes, he just has to look at things and watch things. And this is all new for him. Remember, Thamba has never really been up this far. He doesn't know this area at all. So that's why he's probably watching everything. What is this new place Mom is taking me to? What is going on? Where is what is happening in this area? And where am I going? And what am I seeing? It's all that kind of new syndrome that he's got. And so he's like a naughty little child that wants to investigate everything at this stage. But how cool? So cool. Can't be happier when you see things like this. And so we're lucky Byron managed to find what we were looking for this morning. Now I see he's trotting into the bush after Mom. So she's still moving, and now we're going into the Bermuda Triangle for lions. So some of you that may remember, and for those of you that weren't watching a few weeks ago, Jamie, myself and James had an absolute nightmare with lions that went in here. We had a mating pair as well as a male lion that went in here, and all of us struggled to find them in here, sort of in the following drives. And so hopefully Thandi and Thamba don't pull a disappearing act as well as we try and negotiate this horrible thicket that we're going to go through. Now where did they go? I thought I saw them going just straight. Now there's a termite mound, so maybe little Thamba will go up the mound for us and we'll be able to see them again. Ah, there they are. I can see them. Heading straight towards the said mound, Ferg. So that's Thandi in front, that's striding. And as long as we kind of see Thandi, we'll be able to stick up with Thamba. There we go. Thamba up his termite mound, as is normal. There we go. Hello, boy. Are you investigating termite mounds? And you can see once again, he's doing what we saw yesterday. Looking in all the trees, he's hopeful Mom is taking him to a carcass. That's why he keeps going to the trees, looking up. He thinks that the way that Mom is striding and moving, that potentially there's food for him somewhere. You are beautiful. Sure. So, James, oh, there we go. What are you chasing up there? I think he's chasing birds. This little leopard is such a character. Oh, no, decided down we go. Now, James, you wondering whether or not I think that Thandi will shift her entire territory into this area, or is she going to just take a portion of it and keep her the rest of her territory that she currently has. I don't think she's going to shift her territory too much. She might shift further north and sacrifice a little bit of the sort of eastern and southern sections, particularly if there's pressure from Kuchava, her daughter, as well as Inkanyeni. She might then just shift it a little bit north. So what I think is going to happen is she's going to expand this territory, and her territory effectively is going to get larger rather than actually moving it out. And when she starts to get pressure from younger leopards from the south, that might push her to come back down, come up into this area and head further north. But she's definitely making big strides into this northern section. She's right in the heart of where Karula was. This is where Karula used to hang around. Chelapan was sort of Karula's stronghold, and then northwards, and it seems like she's now actually heading a little bit to the west as well, which would be right towards Weaver's Nest and those areas, which we know was Karula's stronghold for quite a while. Now, I've put myself boxed into a corner here, so I'm going to try and just get back. Right. Now, we're going to try and get ourselves out of this mess that I've gotten us into, because we're surrounded by trees at this stage. And so while I do that, let's go to Jamie, who's got another predator to add to this morning. Spoiled to probably, I would say, my best sighting of this little cat. He is up on this fallen over tree, and he looks absolutely regal up there. He is going to be such a cool cat when he's a little bit older, and he's chosen the best tree we could have asked for. He's up on this fallen over marula, and he keeps staring straight at us, and we are eye level with him. And there's just something about being on the same sort of level as one of these cats. And look at him. He is magnificent. Now, Mom has left you behind. I can hear the vehicles following Mom, and that is a long way from where we are. Are you coming to say hello? You can see he's just checking us out. He just wants to see who we are and what we're doing. So I'm just going to stay nice and still as he comes past, because I don't want him to get a fright or anything like that. Hello, boy. Wow. Words can't describe when a leopard is not even 2 meters from you, the feeling that you get, and especially when he locks eyes with you, and these sort of green, aqua-colored eyes just sort of look at you, and it seems like he's just checking just to make sure you're not a threat to him. And the feeling that happens when he looks is just something I can't explain. Where are you off to? And like I say, Thandi's gone far. I can hear the vehicles. They almost sound like they're somewhere near Twin Dams Road or Weaver's Nest area. Well, it's actually Weaver's Nest, not Twin Dams. So it sounds like they're somewhere that side. So I'm going to just try and stay with little Thamba and keep up with him, because I don't think we're going to catch up with Thandi that quickly. So I'd rather stay with him and see what he gets up to. As much as I love Thandi, this little guy is such a poser and is so pretty. It's always a joy to spend time with him as well. So let's just try and see if we can't stay with him. Now, just now he was trying to hunt francolins, and it was quite comical to watch, because he went bounding into this bush to stalk, and he got into a low position to stalk, and then as he was about to jump, the francolin came up towards him and looked at him, and he was a bit confused now as to why is this francolin actually not running away from me. So he ended up in a situation where he was just staring at this francolin dead on, and the francolin looked at him, and it was a brave francolin, I must be honest, and there was just this kind of dead stare off, and then the francolin basically just walked away, and Thamba looked there very perplexed as to what had just happened, and how on earth had this francolin ignored him so quickly and not really been too scared of him. I think he got a bit of a fright that the francolin didn't actually fly away like normal. Now I'm going to try and see if I can't get a better position from where I am. It's just the only gap that I can see is so close to him that I don't want him to run. You can see just in front here, this little gap through there is the only one that I can really punch through. The rest has got fallen over trees everywhere, although I see another one that we can take, folks. So let's try that one. She didn't notice this part. I thought there was a fallen over stump here, but it's actually not too bad. So we're going to just try and get around here. Hopefully once we get on the other side of him, it should be nice and open, and we should be able to see him perfectly. And I think what's happening is he's starting to now find an area to lie down for the day. It's a nice shady little section he's got himself into there, and so I think maybe, just maybe, that might be where he's going to rest and wait for Thandi to come back again. Let's see. There we go. Yep. We've decided this is where he's going to lie down. Just hold on, Ferg. I'm almost there. Now, of course, old Wendy turns like the Titanic ship at this stage, so she really doesn't turn very easily, and so you've got to kind of do 10-point turns to go where Rusty would go in one turn. But hold on, Ferg, we're almost there. There we go. How's that, Ferg? Is that good? So you can see he's got himself into a nice little shady spot from a bush willow and an apple leaf, and that is going to be the perfect place to lounge and rest for the rest of the day. Oh, and look at this big yawn. You can see his teeth are still very white because he's so young still. He hasn't got that sort of yellow tinge that the teeth get as they get a little bit older. And you can see now a bit of grooming that's taking place. So this is just to get rid of all the ticks and mites and grass seeds and burrs that he's picked up while walking through all of this grass. And from here he's probably, like I say, going to have a nice rest. But isn't this exciting, guys? I know the fact that Karula's gone is not a nice thought, and it's one that a lot of you have been struggling with. But the fact is, at least her lineage is continuing, and Thandi is part of Karula's whole lineage. And if there was a female to move in besides Shongile, I think Thandi for me would be the one that I would have chosen. So for her to be spending a little bit more time in this area is really a very cool situation for us. So, Rashni, you say I'm smitten by Thamba the poser. Well, most definitely. He is such a cool leopard, and he goes up on termite mounds and up trees and seems to always just want to pose for everybody, and that's why I like him. He's not shy and reclusive, and he does his kind of thing, and he seems to be quite a character. Just from the few times that I've watched him, is always up to something, chasing things, and seems to just want to have a good time wherever he goes, and that's why I like him. He's just got some little sort of airs and graces about him that make me happy, which is good. So I am indeed smitten, and particularly because we've got leopard on Djuma, which is always a good thing. And you know, it was a worry, particularly with Karula going missing, that we would start, our leopard sightings would maybe start to take a downturn a little bit. But if we've got this little guy around and Thandi, and if Thandi is going to spend more time here, then you know, potentially the time frame between her and Thamba leaving, it will be within the next year, and you never know, maybe she starts to settle here and she'll be the female that we'll start to see having cubs on Djuma again. So you know, it's a positive process, and one that at least is some encouragement and some hope that we will have a dominant female that potentially could produce cubs on Djuma, because right now, at the moment as it stands, we don't have that. We know that Shadow spends a lot of her time in Arathusa and south of the boundary, and little Shongile is still a little bit young to be mating, even though we know that she can potentially mate at 2 years. That's still a year away, and so it's going to be a long time until little Shongile produces cubs, and she's still got to forge a territory of her own, and so the hope, I suppose, lies with Thandi at this stage, that she's going to spend more time up here and actually end up taking this sort of southeastern corner of Djuma, and that will be fantastic. What would be ideal is if little Shongile could take the northern section, so from Quarantine northwards, and then we'd have Thandi and Thamba down in the southeast and Shadow in the southwest. That would be an ideal situation, don't you all agree? And you can see how he longingly looks around for Thandi to come back. White Lady Earn. Now, yesterday you asked us to do a one-word tweet, and I actually didn't see your one-word tweet, so maybe you can let me know what your one-word tweet was from yesterday. But you want to know what it feels like to have little Thamba looking into our eyes, much like he is right now. Well, it's a difficult feeling to describe. I said yesterday, when a leopard looks at you, it's almost like they analyze the deepest part of you and kind of look through everything and can tell exactly what you're made of and who you are as a person. That's how I feel about it. I mean, maybe it's not that case, but that's how I feel. But Thamba to me has got the most striking eyes. I don't know what it is about him. I think it's the darkness that he's got around the sort of fringes of his eyes. Most leopards have a little bit more light color there, and then the fact that his eyes are so light in contrast to those dark round circles, it just makes his eyes that much more piercing. And when he looks at you, there's just something magical about it. And spending time with a leopard and being able to sit and watch one, and for them to be looking at you, is just the most amazing thing, and it's a special sighting, well, special privilege to be able to do all of this. And we are so fortunate to be able to not only be here, but to share this with all of you at home and make sure that we bring this to people all across the world, and people then can admire the beauty of what the wild animals in Africa are. And it's a very, very big privilege to be out here and to spend time, particularly with the little cats like Thamba and Thandi. So we're very, very fortunate. So Anna, you're wondering if Thamba's eyes are the final colour that they'll turn. Well, it's difficult to say. He's still young, but I think so. I think these are about what we're going to see. They might actually lighten a little bit as he gets older, but I would imagine that this is his final colour that he's going to end up with, which they are quite haunting, aren't they? They remind me a little bit of Anderson's eyes. Anderson's got a bit more of a blue tinge than what Thamba's got, but he's got these lighter coloured eyes as well, and he's very pretty. Now you can see he's watching me because I move my hand, so I'm going to stop moving my hand because I don't want him to get scared of us or in any way. And we're just going to sit tight and lower our voices a little bit so he gets a little bit more comfortable. You can see he's not quite sure about this presence. He's watching us very, very carefully. And so I think if we just sit still for a while and lower our voices, he'll start to take it a little bit easier again. Sure. And that little pink nose of his as well, I'm sure that in time is going to start to fade as well. Although we know that with Shadow, her pink nose has lasted all through her life. And even Thandi's nose is not the darkest nose you'll find out here. She's got a slightly pink nose too. So maybe it's a family trait, and we'll end up with a situation where little Thamba will keep his pink nose as he gets older. But you can see there's not too much darkening happening there just yet. You'll find on Hosana's already got black spots developing towards the edges of his nose. So Nikki, you say his eyes remind you of Mvula's eyes. I can see why you say that. Mvula also had these striking eyes, and when Mvula was younger, his eyes were amazing. They were almost like an aquamarine color. They were very, very pretty. But I find Thamba's eyes just slightly more green than what you see on Mvula's eyes. Mvula's have a more blue tinge than Thamba's. Thamba's tend to have a little bit more green in them, and in that reason is unique to me. It doesn't really strike me as much as Mvula like Quarantine does. I don't know why, but the photos that I've seen of Quarantine always make me think of Mvula. And even little Kanyuma as well had that sort of look of Mvula. Now we're going to sit with our beautiful little boy as he just enjoys the shade of this bush willow. And while we do that, let's go all the way back to Jamie, who's not at a very peaceful scene at all, but rather a more gory one. Well, Jamie, I'm not so sure. I'd imagine so, but who knows? At least Jamie's had a cracking morning all the way in East Africa. It sounds like it's been an incredible time up there, and it seems like those hyenas do love a hippo, that's for sure. It's the second time that we've had them on the hippos up there, so really cool. And Thamba is just taking it very easy still. He's very chilled at the moment. And interestingly enough, I got an update from Tax, who tried to follow Thandi, but she was going straight north and she was heading up towards Quarantine, which is very far from where she normally goes. So exciting times that she's going up that way and starting to head into that area. And like I say, maybe we'll start to see her more and more, and wouldn't be surprised she pops out on the dam cam at some point today, so it's worth having a look out for her up that side. But it's definitely the deepest that I've ever heard of her going. Even in the sort of time when she was younger and when she was mating, I've never heard of her moving up into this area. Now, what have you seen, little man? Maybe he spotted something in the distance. So, Chitty Chatty Meg, you want to know if his coat feels like velvet and whether he has an odour. Well, no odour that I can pick up. Normally it's only when they eat food that they start to have this sort of scent about them. If they maybe have eaten a rotten carcass, then that scent around their face can carry. But other than that, no, not really. Unless you get right up close to them, they can smell a little bit. But in terms of velvet, no, not actually. Their coats are a little bit more sort of coarse than actually velvet. Now, I'm going to try and see if I can't get out of here. I don't know if I'll be able to, because I think perhaps, maybe, just maybe, might have parked me in. Now, there's a big stump here in front. But there we go, we missed it, which is fantastic. And so we can move around and try and catch up with little Thamba as he moves. But they, as far as I've heard, and of course I've never touched Thamba, so I wouldn't know, but in terms of other leopards, they do have quite a coarse feel to them. Their coats get like that because of all the dust and dirt and all the other kind of things that they lie in every day. And ultimately, they don't get shampooed and taken to the parlor and pampered like a domestic animal would, and they don't get brushed like a domestic cat. And so their fur tends to be a little bit more coarse than it is velvet. It's not exactly hard, though. It's not sort of horrible, hard, ugly coats. It's fairly soft still, but it's not velvety, if that's what we want to call it. Okay, now you're looking up in your marula. It's time for you to go up one. We know Thamba does like to climb trees, so I'm just trying to see where he's going to go from here. But he was looking up into this marula, and I was thinking, I wonder if he's maybe not going to just go jumping up. He's still having a little look. You can see him just at the base of the marula behind the tree there, and he keeps looking up into the tree itself. No, not that marula. That's not the right one. Onward and forward to the next marula. There's another two that we've got here that he might go up in. So let's have a look. Wouldn't it be a nice way just to finish off our day if little Thamba went bounding up into the tree and lay on that branch that's coming off the particular marula that he's heading to? You see there's a little branch there, that one right there. So that branch over there would be the perfect branch for him just to relax and recline, and it would be a perfect sighting for us. But I don't think he's going to go there. He seems like he's angling off slightly. He's a little bit more to the right of that. There he is. Yeah. So it seems like he's heading off to the other marula that's a little bit further on. Now that one's also got a nice sort of branch that he could lie on. And let's see. Nope, I don't think so. I think we're going to go to a termite mound instead. So, Chitty Chatty Meg, you're wondering if all leopards have pink noses. No, they don't, actually. So if we have a look at some of the other leopards that we see in this particular area, they actually don't have pink noses at all. They generally, the older they get, the darker their nose becomes. And if you see Salahesh and Tiani in the west, that bloodline, their noses are actually very, very dark. In particular, Tiani, she's almost got a black nose from when she was born. So her nose is quite dark. And it's normally an age thing. As they get older, so their noses start to darken up. But you'll have some individuals like Shadow and Thandi that keep their pink nose even when they get older. This place is full of aardvark burrows that we need to be a bit careful of. They keep kind of disappearing with one tire down. Now let's just try and negotiate this. Of course, Thamba makes it look very easy because he just kind of moves along and no worries whatsoever. But for us, a little bit more difficult. And there we go. There's our termite cat again. You do love a termite mound, don't you, boy? You can see that little tail is wagging. Now, I don't want to go too much closer. I want him just to try and rest and find a place that he wants to lie down. And once he's down, I'll then reposition ourselves and let him get comfortable. But he really likes to go up termite mounds for some reason. It's probably because he can see so far. Or is he down there? Let's go round so we can maybe try and see him. I think he's come down the mound. Oh no, he's lying there. I can see him now. Just going to try and just get around here. Should be able to get a nice view of him on the other side here. Going to try and get ourselves into position, and the man that we have to thank for this sighting, who has managed to somehow miraculously fix his vehicle with OPA, is back up and running. So let's go to Byron and see what he's got to say for himself. No, we're not going to shout at you, Byron, don't worry, because you gave us a leopard as a payment for your indiscretions with Rusty. And well, anyway, Ferg and I bent Rusty's same steering arm a few weeks ago anyway, so we can't blame you for anything. So we're just happy that we got to spend some time with the leopard. So thank you, Byron. It's rather than shouting at you, is a thank you going to you today. But look at him watching. He's busy looking into this marula above us, and I think he's trying to see if there's any food. No, we didn't put a carcass up there for you, I'm afraid, boy. Nope, sorry. But isn't this cool? Just resting on a mound. Ah, the joys of leopards. There's nothing better in life. So Ash is one. You say, what a magnificent kitty. Well, indeed, he is. He's as good as it gets, really. As in terms of young leopards, he's absolutely beautiful. And actually, he is my favorite, I think. The more time I'm spending with him, the more he's sort of endearing himself to me. I know, Ferg, this is your favorite leopard that we see here, and I really do like Hosanna as well, but I think there's just something about Thamba, and the fact that we're actually seeing him as much as we are over the last few days is just kind of reinforcing that. And Chantal says it's her favorite as well, so he seems to be a popular boy. You can see he's got that popular lean on him at the moment as well. He's just kind of chilling on his termite mound and just posing for photographs for the other vehicle. The other vehicle are taking photos, and he's kind of just staring straight at their lens, which is fantastic for those people that have come all the way out here to get a photograph of a wild leopard. So glad that he's such a poser. And I think it's not long now until he actually probably falls asleep properly. Every now and then his eyes are sort of closing a little bit, and he then seems like his head is starting to get a bit heavy, so I wouldn't be surprised he has a nice nap here somewhere. Are you watching the birds? Are there birds above us here? I can't see any. Maybe it's just the last few leaves of the marula that are falling that he keeps watching as they kind of drift down to earth. But Thandi is definitely on a hunting mission. She's gone far. She hasn't come back at all. So, memes, you want to know what the name Thandi and Thamba means. Well, Thamba is a boulder, and the reason why he was called Thamba is because he was born at Chitwa Lodge. Now, Chitwa Lodge has one of their rooms is called the Thamba Suite, or the Boulders Suite, because it's on some rocky outcrop, and that's the perfect place for a leopard to have cubs, and so that's why he was called Thamba. And Thandi means love, so that is the meaning of Thandi's name, and that was named, I can't remember actually who named Thandi. I'll have to try and find out. I think it might have been actually Tax or one of them that named Thandi. I'm not 100% sure. I'm sure some of our viewers will know. If you can let me know as to who actually named Thandi. I can't remember. Now, of course, Thandi and Shadow are sisters, and Shadow was actually originally named Tingana, funnily enough. And we had to change that when Tingana, the big male, arrived. And so that's when Shadow was changed to Shadow and lost the Tingana name tag. In fact, actually, Shadow and Tingana, she had two names for when she was younger, and then when Tingana male arrived, it was decided that Shadow would become her name permanently, and that the Tingana name tag would drop away. But you can see the wind is starting to pick up a bit now, and so with the wind, so is his ears are perking up, and just listening, there's a few rustlings of leaves and grasses, and that will pique his interest, and you can see his ears kind of pricking up and turning quite a bit, just to work out what's going on around him. Sure, he is a very, very pretty boy. And it's a pity about just this grass in front of him, because it keeps blowing in front of his face. So, Nancy, you're wondering why Thandi and Thamba split up? Well, by the looks of it, and from what we can work out, is that she's been with him all of last night, and even during the day, this morning, and it seems like she's just wanting to hunt. She was very interested in looking at things. She kept stalking and getting lower when we were off air, and then she decided to move on. So what I think is happening is she's gone off hunting. Thamba is tired of trailing behind Mom, and so he's now lying down, and there might have been some visual cues that we missed where she might have growled at him and said, right, you stay here, this is now time for me to go and see if I can't find us food. And she's gone off to hunt, leave him behind because he's still inexperienced and clumsy, and he's going to probably mess up most of the hunts that she tries. Once she's left him, she'll then go hunt, and if she's successful, come back and fetch him. If she's unsuccessful, she'll then come back anyway and pick him up, and they'll then carry on moving. So that's why they've separated. It's not uncommon to see in young leopards. You'll see it quite often, particularly bigger young leopards like this. They are now completely self-sufficient in terms of he's already able to kill should he need to. As we saw with Hosanna, he was able to, even at a year old, start looking after himself, as well as Shongile. And so they really, at the end of the day, they are able to climb and to get out of danger, and therefore it's okay for them to sit in this area by themselves, and Thandi can go about her business as she likes. Now, I believe Byron, in the meantime, has managed to find something that little Thamba may want to eat. Well, good luck, Jamie. Hopefully the car will make it all the way up to the top and you won't have a situation like you did the other day where you got stuck halfway up. Now, we are still with Thamba and he's still posing ever so nicely on the top of his mound. You can see every now and then he lifts his nose and just looks into the marulas and still looking over his shoulder longingly to see, well, where is Mom and when is she coming with breakfast? And I think maybe Jamie mentioning breakfast has certainly perked him up because he was quite sleepy prior to that. But he, I think, wants breakfast just as much as the rest of us do. It is that time, isn't it? Smell the bacon wafting from down this way with the wind blowing. So I think we too shall start heading in that direction just, well, in the next few minutes, really. I wonder if Thandi and Thamba will follow us all the way to Djuma. It would be really cool if they do start moving up in that direction and we start to see them around the dam cam again and see, you know, these two spending a lot more time on Djuma. They certainly have over the last month or so. We've been seeing them quite regularly down on the southern boundary, so hopefully this is the push northwards, and what will seal the deal is if Thandi is able to make a kill somewhere here during the day today, and they can then spend time, you know, feasting on an impala or a duiker and actually spend time in this area, then I'm pretty sure they'll utilize it a lot more. Thandi seems to know what she's doing because she keeps moving and walking in towards these thickets, and she seems as though she knows exactly where she's going. I suppose given that she was born in these areas and she knows exactly what's going on and has traversed these before, that's why she remembers what's happening. But it's just interesting to see how she is able to follow the lay of the land and utilize these drainage sections as and when she needs, even though she hasn't been here for so many years. It's quite interesting just to watch. It just goes to show that they have far better memories than what we think. Little Thamba, you've been an absolute treat today. We've been absolutely spoilt by these two leopards, and particularly Thamba. He seems to be he's such a poser. Every time we find him, he's going up on something and allowing us incredible visuals. So it's that time of the day where we go